I want to call the meeting to order. And Sue, we're going to start with the mission statement.
Okay, our mission statement is inspiring our community to dream more, learn more, do more, and be more. Thank you.
So Marwan, you want to take note when you get your agenda in the future, because when it's your turn, your name's just going to be there. And sometimes it's a surprise if you haven't fully reviewed the fine print. With that, Jason, do you want to make some introductions, or would you like to introduce Marwan and you could say a few words?
Yeah, hi everybody. Just wanted to welcome Marwan officially to your first board meeting. Welcome to the Board of Trustees. So we're happy to have you aboard. This is a long time coming, and you were highly recommended. We're really excited about all the work you've done in the community, and feel that your passion is a good fit for our board. So just really wanted to welcome you in. We'll let you on mute there.
I appreciate that. Everyone has been super welcoming. So I appreciate the onboarding and all of the information. And my daughter and I were actually in the Sylvan Branch earlier today. So she's got renewed her library card, which was awesome. And so we just, I look forward to continuing the library's mission and just really just spreading the word on how awesome the library is and trying to find new ways to connect the library to the community. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard.
Gina, were you the newest, so you just got seniority?
No, I just said welcome. I just wanted to say hi and welcome.
Are there any additions or changes to the agenda anybody has? Okay. Now, public comment. This time is designated for the public to address issues other than personnel issues or those included on the agenda. Since we've been meeting virtually, we take that public comment in writing if it's submitted by 5 o'clock the Monday prior to our meeting. Tammy, do we have any public comment this evening?
We have none.
Okay. We are moving right along. Next is the consent agenda. All matters listed within the consent agenda are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion of the Board of Trustees with no separate discussion. If separate discussion is desired, items may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda by request. Tonight, we have the minutes of the July 26th regular board meeting, as well as the payment of July 2022 bills, which include payroll and benefits, and the blanket voucher, including all the bills, and the surplus library materials withdrawn from the collection for July, which includes 1,899 items. Would anybody like to discuss any of these items, or I'll take a motion to move the agenda forward, the consent agenda forward?
I move to approve the consent agenda as is.
A second.
Great, thank you. All in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Great. There you go, Marwan. Thank you. Next, presentations, reports, and briefings. We start with our board members. So Marwan, this is the normal course where we all report on what we may have done, or sometimes we haven't done anything. Sounds like you were out and about earlier today at the library, which is great. Would anybody like to lead this discussion with activity in support of the library?
Yeah, I can go first. Not much to report on my end other than Marwan. Also happy to have you on board and have the board at full strength. And my 6-year-old daughter got her summer reading shirt last week. So she's been staying up late all summer. Nothing to do the last couple of weeks. She's been up like reading until like midnight, 1 a.m. Wakes up at 11. She's a 6-year-old teenager.
Very sweet.
I don't have much to report either, but similarly, my 25-year-old daughter has her t-shirt and she was super excited about it. And so that's my report for that section.
Good, thank you. Sue?
I don't have anything new to report, but Marwan, I would like to also welcome you and glad that you're on the board of trustees with us.
Juan, do you want to add anything?
Like I said, I was in the library today with my daughter, working out my email so I can get in, and she got her library card and was literally jumping up and down. She wanted to stay to check out some books. So we'll be getting an assortment for her reading as the school begins here. So she's pretty excited as I am as well.
That's awesome. I just want to continue to report on the community needs assessment. We got an exciting kind of midstream report. This community needs assessment that's going on is really a collaborative effort being driven by a lot of organizations in the community. It's been led by Kitsap Community Resources as the community action agency. They're really been the most equipped to lead this, but it's been well supported. Lucretia and I both sit on a partners committee. She, of course, representing certainly KRL, but other organizations in the community as well. Today, we actually got the great news that we are 7 weeks in with about 6 more weeks to go in the general phase of this. And there have been 3,100 responses to the survey. It's already doubled what occurred in the previous effort in 2019, which would have been the K-CHIP survey. What's even more exciting and truly more important, and why this collaborative effort is so important, is that when we are starting to look at markers such as zip codes for geography, income, as well as race and ethnicity, we are actually finally getting a full and really representative survey across the community, which is really the first time that's happened as well. And so it speaks to the value of the collaborative venture. We are continuing to watch that data and will dial down and continue targeted outreach to make sure that that survey stays truly representative and represents the whole community's voice, because it will be so important. I think what's also unique about this effort is that we all need this data. I certainly, we need it in the library, we need it in many of our organizations to truly understand the community need, those needs that we share equally across the system, but also those needs that are disparate in the community. So we're all pretty excited, but I also want to just say thank you to the library, to Jason and Lucretia and Jeannie Allen, because on the day when you released information into the community through the newsletter, we've had 3,100 respondents, but in a 3-day period, your efforts spiked the data with over 1,000 respondents coming in that very short time period. So super important. We'll keep you posted as we're going forward in terms of where we are. And certainly if any of you, those that I can see and those I can't, if you're interested in learning more, let us know, because we really want to keep on this effort. I'd love to have, a 2.5% representation of our county's population across the board, and of course maintain that representation that's so important in all of the different targets. So Lucretia, do you want to say anything given your involvement in that effort?
So here's what I want to say. I want to say that everyone on this call can have a part in sharing out the message and the intention of the Community Needs Assessment Survey. I know Marwan has been leveraging his connections, his platform, but all of us have an opportunity to send the links out, pass out the cards, share the QR code, whatever it might be, so that we might get closer to an accurate data, and to also be thinking about now, how might the library pull from the data to use it in our future plan programs and services, strategic planning, there are lots of opportunities with this. I mean, I don't remember how many questions, but it's a lot of questions and a lot of data that it's getting at. So it's a great opportunity for us. It's a great time saver for us. We don't have to do the data collection. It's a cost savings for us. I mean, so there's a lot of opportunities for us, and it's a huge win for us as an organization.
What's else has been unique about it is it's not only including the usual suspects, if you will, in terms of the organizations in the social sector in the community, but there's been some corporate support of it as well. And there's been some unusual partnerships in it. Grocery Outlet, for example, has really been helping be an outlet for the survey, and we're not done yet. And so, you know, there's still time for people to jump on board, because the deeper we can go in the community and the more people we can get to take the survey, the more meaningful the results will be. And this data just has not been available before. And we're all looking forward to it. It's something that will be shared and available for everybody in the community to use in their organizations. And then hopefully look at that and see not only how we can use that data separately in our organizations, but where can we come together to really kind of leverage the resources that already exist in the community to further meet the need. And that discussion is already beginning as well. So really important. Is Eric or Gina, do we have a report from the Strategic and Long Range Planning Committee?
We do. We met, it was a very brief meeting, and Jason updated us on the Power DMS, the policy management tool that they've implemented. And it's a tool, platform, training platform, and it's a shared space for seeing track changes and reducing papers. So we're looking forward to seeing how that works and, you know, how that goes. And then just more information on policy updates. We didn't talk about any specific, but that's an active effort that the library staff are doing, is just changes to policies that need to be made, and specifically emergency policies. That seems to be a topic. And then just learning about the beginning discussions between the Port Orchard Community Event Center, that, you know, potential for shared library space, and how we're in the very beginning discussions of that. And that's about it. It was a very brief meeting. So I don't know if Eric or Jason have anything to add that I might have missed, but that's all I have. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the only other thing to add is we're ready to engage in a strategic planning process. So we've landed on a consultant. His name is Eric Mead of the Whole Mind Strategy Group. And so we're really excited that he'll be able to begin right away by coming in to facilitate the strategy process with all of our staff, including the board. So Mr. Mead will be in as early as next month. And so we're really excited. We're going to have him here at least 3 times, if not more. And I think my initial unrealistic plans of getting this done by February, I think are more realistic now. So I think the goal is to get this done by at least the back end of February, you know, towards the back end of the first quarter, maybe March, and then be ready to roll out our next version of a strategic plan. So we'll really be focusing on the things we've done well in this past one, and really aligning it to what the future vision of the organization is. And that can't be done without engaging staff, engaging the library board of trustees, leadership, and most importantly, the community, and in terms of what they want to see. So we felt like Mr. Mead was a good fit, and that he could incorporate all of that. And he understood strategy and the process very well. And so we're really excited about that. There'll be more forthcoming later, but I'm happy that he's on board and ready to get strategy rolling off. Any questions? Or Eric, I'm sorry, did you have anything to add?
Nothing to add.
All right.
No questions. Sounds like Dan Bear's not with us tonight because he's not feeling well. So we do have his financial report as part of our packet. For the benefit, summary benefit, our overall expenditures for the month are at 52.5% of the budget, compared to where we are in the year, which is at 63%. So we're still tracking ahead as we have been. It's really a timing issue. salary and benefit expenditures, which are the largest component of the budget, have been expended at just short of 54%. Non-personnel related expenditures just short of 56%, and capital expenditures are at 45.2%. There are notations for any item in the financial statements that exceed budget by 10%. Dan is incredible at annotating those financial statements, so it makes it super easy to go through and look at those. Our revenue expenses, our revenue is ahead also of what we've collected, but again, these are all just timing issues. We don't expect to stay in this position for the long term. So with that, are there any questions about the financial statements? Because we'll let Jason answer them.
Absolutely.
All right. Sounds like we're good. Hey, Jason, you're up with the director's report.
Yeah, thank you. And before I get started, I want to call out the amazing leadership team that's here. Director Mike Rose of Facilities, and the amazing executive director of our foundation, Wendy Kyle. We've got my executive assistant, Tammy. I don't move without Tammy. So Tammy's been wonderful. She's here. And then Lucretia Robertson, who's our Director of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and also double teaming as our HR Director right now. And so welcome in. And didn't mention that Mike Rose is also doing double duty in managing IT right now. So we've got some folks carrying on some heavy loads, and we've got a few folks out. Dan Bear, as we alluded to, is not feeling well, so we've given him the night off. We've got a couple on vacation. Shannon Peterson is taking a much needed vacation with her family, as is Jeannie Allen. So they're excused for the night. So having said that, I'm going to roll right into my report. July was busy, as summer typically is in the library world. Lots of things going on. Training our library associates for designated site support, that continues to be a process of ours, and that's gone well. And we've also taken an opportunity, since we have library associates stepping in as designated site support, to update our policies and procedures, particularly our emergency policies and procedures. So we're really taking a look at all of those. Our patron code of conduct, which we brought to the board last month, is, that was refreshed. And so it's really a good opportunity to revisit all of those with that group and make sure that there's a clear understanding of what those policies and procedures are. And our staff have really been resilient, through, I think, a lot of change, through a lot of staffing changes, through various issues that happen with our facilities and just changes in how library services are rendered. It really is an amazing work group here. And, I really want to call them out. Lucretia has continued to lead HR while we evaluate the future of that particular department. And so she's really been kind of a stabilizing force there as we continue to figure out what the needs of the organization are from an HR standpoint. And so we will be, looking to figure out where we're going to go with HR in the near future. And then likewise, unfortunately, Kwon Kai resigned for the organization on Friday, August 12th. And Mike Rose has temporarily been installed to guide IT along with his facilities operation duties, while Dan Bear will guide CTS in the absence of Kwon. Kwon leaves huge shoes to fill here, but we're confident in both Mike's ability and Dan's ability to, stabilize those departments and continue the projects they've had in place moving forward. So we wish Kwon well in his future endeavors, and we really just, at this point are moving on. And so there's been lots and lots of transitions within the organization of late. But, most importantly, I really want to call out our staff here. They've been really resilient. They've been professional. They've been steady, and they've been really a guiding force in everything we've done here. And so I'm really feeling like the collective health of KRL is pretty good. I mean, I think on a communication front, I've spent lots of time communicating with staff and trying to give them a clear understanding of what the path is of the organization, and really giving them a vehicle with which to give me feedback and to really give their supervisors feedback. I think it's a really good work culture here. I'm continuing a lot of good efforts that Jill Jean has put into existence. And I think, she was very important to guide us through a really, peculiar time here, in that we were in a pandemic, and she was really a stabilizing force there, here. And I've gotten a lot of that from staff that like, look, without her guidance during that time, it wouldn't be here. So now the goal is really to push us beyond that point and really push us into the future. So I'm excited about that. And really, it's all about what's happening with the community. You know, part of how I'm able to figure out where the library is going is by, you know, my installment of Where's Waldo, right? Where's Jason this week? And it's always at some, you know, some presentation. It's at some Rotary. It's at some coffee meetup with Katie Walters. It's at some, you know, just one-on-one with whomever has asked to do that. And so most recently it was meeting with Katie Walters, you know, as those of us who are, you know, tapped into what's happening at Kitsap. She is running for the soon to be vacant county commissioner seat from Ed Wolf. And so it was a good opportunity to talk about not only that, but what Katie has done in the community in terms of her being the involved in Leadership Kitsap and her really raising her family here. Is a good opportunity to connect with her and to figure out, you know, what are the touch points for her on connecting in this community and just really getting some insight from her. And I've done that with everybody I can meet, you know, really figuring out from them what they think is important in terms of like what I can bring to the table in terms of library services. So I'll expect to meet her counterpart here soon that will be running for the other, who will be running on the other side of the political forum for the vacant seat. And so I expect to do that soon. And so I've met with two Rotaries, both Bremerton Rotaries, downtown Bremerton Rotary and East Bremerton Rotary. So if you've been to Rotaries and you've been a part of them, they're really a good occasion to kind of, you know, get some good food and give some good happy bucks, depending on what the happy bucks are being issued for, and really to be able to talk about the library. Anytime I can go and talk about Kitsap, I'm there and I'm game to do it. So, you know, I've presented PowerPoints and talked all about what we're doing. And what I've gotten out of those, really, I think the important point is that people are excited about the library. They don't know as much as you think they know about the library. People are always, you know, kind of wowed by all the different things we're doing. So that's really my thing, is to get out here and talk more and more about what we're doing. And then moving on to the HR front, you know, as I've stated earlier, it's been really, really busy here in terms of staff movement. And so that happens a lot, obviously, because the library is a changing organism and people move in and out and you want them to do well. And so we've lost Kwong, unfortunately, and we've also lost David Lima, who's a library assistant at Little Boston, who's been with us for quite a while, and Jenna Nichols, who was a library assistant at Pulsbo. But we've also welcomed in some new staff who we're figuring on having long careers here. Nikki Atenza, library assistant at Sylvan, Emma Newport, who's a library assistant at Sylvan, and Jessica Fetterman, we just welcomed in as our training specialist in human resources. We've had a few staff changes. We've had staff get promotions. We've had staff change locations, and that's all part of it. I want to call out Jonathan Wilson, moving from public services supervisor at Manchester to the same position at Silverdale. Jonathan is quite the pro, and with Ashley's departure, and he's been really important to get in there as a public services supervisor, as Donna is temporarily acting as a manager to really, you know, help manage that team there. So we're really happy about him in that role. And so lots happening in HR, but the star of the month, you know, it was told to me when I got here that we have this star of the month. I don't know, Sue, if you remember this from your times at Carroll, but I want to start calling out these stars of the month. It's everybody, but you know, staff have the opportunity to nominate a person each month, or persons, and us to, you know, designate who the star of the month is. And it's always hard when you have a competition, right? You don't want to designate one star because they're all stars, but they made it easy for me last month. It was only one nomination, and so that's important. It was for Cindy Ayers, who's one of our substitute couriers. And Cindy, I'm just going to read out the call out on her. Cindy comes in with the greatest smile every day and brightens our day with laughter. She sets to work and doesn't stop until everything's done. She's always willing to help out in any way she can, even completing some extra to prepare for future needs. She's excellent at getting any needed information for the route for the day and asking for changes in the routine. And if so, getting the changes done so no one knows she was there. Cindy is a wonderful help to the PDS team and is very appreciated. And, I really want to call out substitute library workers. They're really critical for us. I think when you talk about workers here, most people are thinking of the folks who are here either in a part-time or full-time status, but often overlook at the folks who just pop in when we have staffing shortages. And I've had the occasion to meet a couple of them when I've been out and about. And it's really important to call them out because those are people who are critical for shoring up operations, particularly when you have people who are sick, they're on vacation, have last minute absences for whatever reasons. It's good to have substitute workers who are, they're just there because they love working for the library. They don't want to work full time. They don't even want to work part time. They just want to be available and sort of like, hired guns that can come in and just be able to provide a need. So substitute library workers, not only is Cindy Ayers a star, but I want to call out all of the substitute library workers and thank them for the jobs that they do. Moving on to programs, a big part of what we do. One of the things that I wanted to do when I got here was to visit programs to see how, we are delivering services to the public. And so not only how we're delivering services in terms of what we do at the information desk, but what we do in terms of programs. And so got a chance to, librarians have invited me to a few programs here and there. I got a chance to attend Adults with Cool Jobs, which is a teen services program on Zoom. And so essentially what it is it's basically career day for the teen group. And so what you do is you get on and you talk about what you do. And so it was an opportunity for folks that throw all sorts of questions at me about everything from, what led me into this field to, what's my favorite condiment. And the answer on that is relish. And I won't go into why it's relish, but it was a good opportunity to do that. It's an opportunity to really mentor. And as you all have heard me say, mentoring is why I got into this role. I think it's important for us to be, mentors to the people who are out in the, especially the youth that are in the community. Another cool program I attended was True Play Jamboree, and I was invited by Emin Rogers, who's one of our excellent children's librarians at Port Orchard. Essentially what this program is it's just play for kids. I think when you think of library programs, you think of traditional story programs where you've got kids and, and you've got them in either for a lap sit program or you've got them in a, semicircle and you've got the story time rug out and you're doing your routine. But this is a program that really is rooted in the principles of play. And so there's been a big movement in programming of late to incorporate play into the mix because recognizing that children learn in different ways. It's not only that children learn from reading books or having them read to them, but also that the experiential things that happen when kids play, like that's huge. If you can go back to when you played as a child, whether it's you wanted to play cops and robbers, or it was like me, I wanted to be a baseball player, and having pretended to be in situations like that. This whole notion of executive functioning, those skills are really born out of those negotiations those raw negotiations that happen when you're on a playground. So, what I got a chance to witness is, one kid grabbing something from another kid and that kid crying and how do you negotiate that? Like kids negotiate that whole thing out largely without adults, right? And sometimes adults might need to step in, but it's important to provide opportunities like that. It's neat to see librarians embrace principles like that and bring them into the library and to do it in a way where people really embrace them. And it was also an opportunity for me to talk to patrons who brought their kids there and to really talk about what was happening. One of the neat anecdotes I got from that particular program was I started talking to a patron who had a child there who was visiting from Turkey. And so she grew up in the Port Orchard area, but she was visiting. She married a gentleman from Turkey, moved there. And what she said to me was that during the pandemic, she said that there was just, there weren't, at this part of Turkey she was in, I don't know if this is true of all of Turkey, but there were no public libraries. They don't exist where she is. And so she talked about the importance of having Carol as a resource. She was able to download digital books, and she was able to attend programming in a virtual way. And it was really a lifesaver for her during the pandemic. So I really want to call that out because you don't often hear stories like that. And it was really impactful to hear that how foundational the library was at a really critical time in her life where she really didn't have anything and really needed to provide learning opportunities for her child. So that was a neat program to attend. Anytime I can get out and do programs and to see what we're doing and to see, folks really delivering their craft, it's really important. And that's true of really, not only public facing departments, but back of the house departments too. That's true of people who are doing custodial services. It's true of people who are working in CTS. It's true of anybody. I want to be able to get involved in their day-to-day work lives as best as possible so I can really see the touch points and figure out what's working, what's not, what sort of services are people willing to deliver, or any ideas they may have, because sometimes those ideas may not filter up through the chain of command up to me. And so one of the things I've instituted also is office hours. So every third Friday from 1 until 3, I have office hours from 1 until 3 o'clock. It just gives, everyday staff an opportunity to pop in. Leadership pretty much knows that I have an open door policy. They can pop in when they need me, either ping me on Teams or, ask Tammy for an appointment, or just, brute force come into my office and say, hey, I need you, something's happening. But I also want to give everyday staff the opportunity to do that too, because I think it's important for them to know they have a director who's accessible. What's on the table at those meetings is highly confidential. It's between me and those employees. And I don't reveal what they talked about, and hopefully vice versa. And so, I had a chance to meet with like 4 different staff members this past Friday, and they were good meetings, and they ranged from different topics, and so it's important for me to be able to provide some transparency too in terms of management. Couple other things I want to call out. Public services is always busy, and I want to call out some of the good work that's happening there. First, I want to call out summer closures. We've had a few summer closures in KRL that have really, summer closures and closures in general aren't warranted. They happen either because of heat, because of, emergency situations happening, i.e. weather situations, and or, maintenance issues. And so we've had a number of them. Downtown Bremerton has closed about 7 times this year due to heat. And for those of you who don't know, the downtown Bremerton has an HVAC system that, and Mike can elaborate on this a little better than I can as being the facilities director, but they're in a process of getting a new HVAC on the roof. And so they've got quite a bit of work to do. So when heat rises above about 88, 90 degrees, it's really untenable there in the afternoons. And what I'm starting to find out in the Pacific Northwest is that things are great in the morning, but when you get past like 1 or 2 o'clock, temperature rises and it gets pretty uncomfortable. As I sit in a hot office because we don't have air in this wing of the building, if you hear the hum of a fan, that's in my office right now because it's pretty uncomfortable over here. But having said that, the main point I'm getting at is if we've had to close facilities a few times, and some of them have happened, pretty quickly because of situations that have materialized, either, roofing work and where issues have gone unplanned. And those we have to make some real snap decisions to close and move staff on. So, admittedly, there's been a lot of confusion about what to do when things like that happen. So I've taken the opportunity to really revisit all of our emergency procedures, what we've done in the past, what makes for best practices. And so we're starting to put those in place and really inform staff when, what constitutes emergency closure versus a planned closure and what you do in instances like that. So, but calling out also the good work of staff in these facilities, even though we've had to close down, we've had people like Priya Cherry from DB, and we've had folks here at Sylvan who've gone out and done really big work. And so I really want to call out Jose Castro of Sylvan. He's our adult librarian, and Priya, adult librarian of downtown Bremerton. They went out and got out into Bridging Bremerton, which was an event, and saw over 400 people at this event. And they, gave out library cards and distributed information about summer learning. And then July, we've had some large scale programming also in Kingston. We had a West African dance group there, and we had a magicians, Jeff Evans, and Sunshine from Polynesia. And they also performed at Port Orchard and Silverdale. And so for all of these events, we had anywhere from 95 to 250 people participate. So folks have really kind of hit the ground running this summer. One of the neat programs I got a chance to see at Kingston was a display that was in Kingston, and it was more than a display. It was a garden pollinators. And so starting with caterpillars, patrons were able to view, and caterpillars as they really, went into that process of metamorphosis. And, it's always neat when you can have a program like that, because it's just like actual hands-on science on display there. And so you get an opportunity to fill out your observation cards about it, what was happening at that station, and there were observation sheets. Kids could draw what they saw. And, it's important to have programs like that where kids can, again, experience learning in a different way other than just reading about a book about caterpillars, for instance. You can actually have that sort of tangible experience. So I'm always happy when I see displays like that and librarians actually, having, sort of learning that happens in an experiential way, because again, libraries aren't just, places of books. You can learn in a lot of other ways. So I like it when staff create displays and opportunities for learning that, are different than what we were used to in the past. Then lastly, I want to call out some changes in public services. I called out Jonathan, who is moving from Manchester to Silverdale. And I want to also call out that Jen Vaughn of Port Orchard is moving into the vacated public services supervisor slot at Port Orchard. And that is exciting. And that will happen September 1st. And then lastly, we had a successful candidate for the Bainbridge manager position. Her young lady, her name is Nicole Valencia, and she will begin her tenure at Bainbridge on September 1st. We're really excited about that hire. It's a mouthful. I'm almost done. I'm going to move to collection and technology. There's quite a bit happening there. I really want to highlight the neat work that CTS does. I talked about this a little bit last month, but our reading lists for them are really second to none. If you're not on their mailing list and you get a chance to get the read, watch, listen, it actually goes to internal staff and it gives them a tangible way to make media recommendations to staff, and that's really critical because they do a great job of supporting our reference staff and being able to provide ready reference for staff as they, or for patrons as they come in. And so featured on August list for Carol website focuses on books that are turned into streaming series. And so there's a list of that. CTS is thrilled to add Cindy Garcia Rivas to the team. And Cindy started at Carol in the fall of 21 as a library assistant. And she has graduated with her degree, her Master's in Library and Information Sciences, and she is now will be contributing to the CTS team in the realm of digital collections and research services. So I'm really happy that Cindy's aboard. And then lastly, CTS is participating in training around Collection HQ, which is a tool that will allow the team to better select resources for patrons. In particular, this tool can also do collection audits. And I think the most important thing to mention about this particular tool is that when we start to move into DEI work and work that Lucretia started, this tool can really sort of, harness in on, collections that are really, sensitive to various communities. And so these are things we want to be looking at when we talk about, diversity, equity, inclusion. We want to look at all facets of our organization, but particularly with our collections and which collections we have on ourselves now, what's highlighted, and what collections could be valuable for different parts of our community. So I'm really excited about Collection HQ and what it can do for our library. And facilities. So McKinstry project has been, it's been a great project, first of all. So I want to say it's anytime you talk about construction and capital improvements, you always have to say that with a measured tone, because anybody that's had work done on their house, it's a process, right? And so things almost always don't go as smoothly as you initially lay them out to go. When you have your planning meetings, it's like, you got a target date, we're going to do this amount of work and we're going to get it done, and it's all going to be great. The reality is there are always speed bumps. It's just like getting on technology, right? There's always going to be something happening. Happy to say that the roof is basically done. I mean, there is a little bit of work to be done to get it to 100%, but I'm going to let Mike jump in and kind of fill us in on exactly where we are, and he can do that a lot better than I can. Mike, can you pop in and enlighten us, please, on where we are with the roof? Because we see the cones, we see the tape, and we've seen that we've had to close a bit because of stuff happening, but tell us where we are and where we are going to be.
Sure. We are close to the finish line on the roof. The last bit of work involves the finished look features, the vertical ribs that will make the PVC roof look like a metal roofing system. So they're just waiting for those to arrive on site. They'll be installed over a couple days as soon as they get here, and then the contractor will call that work finished, and we'll do a punch walk and make sure they've hit all the details that need to be done before we let them off the hook. But that work is very close to being complete. So we're looking forward to that. We've battled supply chain issues throughout this whole project with availability of product and product that was predicted to be on site at a certain time and it didn't arrive. In this case, these finished ribs came from a different manufacturing plant, and so they weren't the same die lot, and so they didn't color match correctly, and so had to send them back and get the right ones. So there's just these sometimes unpredictable delays that Jason was talking about, and we experienced that a little bit more extreme this summer than we would have liked. But other than that, we are very close on that particular project.
Thank you, Mike. Penultimate update, celebrations. It's always important for us to get out in the community when we have celebrations. Happy to know that staff already does that. I don't need any pushing to do that. We were out at Kitsap Pride last month, and that was really exciting. I didn't get a chance to attend, but it was my wife's birthday, so I had a choice either to celebrate her birthday with her or to be on the sofa, and I chose the wise choice to celebrate her birthday. And although I did want to support staff at the Kitsap Fairgrounds, but it was exciting. We had a lot of staff go and support. We have staff that are really engaged in the community, and it's really important that when we have festivals like this, that people are able to get out and to show support. The library is looked at as a community hub, and so it's going to be important whenever we have stuff that's happening that we have staff get out and get involved, and that we support Kitsap in a way that we're really visible. And it's all about visibility. It really is for me. And that leads me to my last point, Kitsap Regional Library and the media. And this will be a feature that I hope we're in the media a lot, and I hope it's all for good stuff. And, we were in the media last month and into this month a couple times. July 29th, it was all about libraries as cooling centers. As you know, when the heat rises, libraries are relied on as cooling centers, and the reverse is true in the winter. Not so much here than when I was in Chicago. It was really, when we hit like the 20 below zero days in Chicago, we'd be called upon to be warming centers. And yes, it can get to 20 below with the wind chill. But when we hit a couple days last month where we were really hot, and into this month, we've had the opportunity to have Kitsap be regional library be used as cooling centers. And that's important that we are used for the hubs that we are. We bring community together, but we're also a safe spot for people. Not only a physical place of safety, but also, a place of safety where people can come in and get their needs met and feel non-judged. And so it's important. And we've got such an empathetic staff here. It's probably the most empathetic staff I've ever been a part of. And that's great because, we can build on that. And so staff are almost always, over engaging and over patient with even patrons who, violate the library code of conduct. Our staff are really nice, and I really want to call out their work in dealing with, patrons who, need a little extra care. And sometimes it's that, right? The community has been emotionally, I would say, impacted by the pandemic and the dearth of resources and the trauma that's come out of that. And we've seen a lot of it spill over into the library. So I really want to call out staff's ability to really negotiate some tricky situations in our branches. I read all of the incident reports that come across my desk, and they range from all sorts of behaviors that are really driven by sort of what's happened with the pandemic. And so I really want to call out our staff's ability to do that, and for us to be stout enough to be able to still host people when we have days where it gets too hot. Then on August 7th, I sat down with the Kitsap Sun to do an article, and it was really just an article about how I got here, what the vision that I have for Carol is, and really to be able to highlight what's happening at the library right now. So I was really happy to be able to sit down with the Sun and talk about that. And it's not about me. I know the picture has me and it's about me, but it's really about staff. I want opportunities when they come along like that to really be able to talk about the good work that our staff is doing. And I wouldn't be here if it were not for the Board of Trustees, my leadership team, and the staff to really put me in a position to be talked about. And so I'm really honored to be in that position. I want to do more of that, if only to raise the awareness for library services and how valuable we are, because, to a person who, maybe is not your casual user, let's just talk about our, user that uses the library just because they need something. Those users don't know how important the library is. The folks who come every day and they pick up holds and who are getting, the bestsellers, they know how valuable we are because we're there. I'm going to really speak to the person who doesn't necessarily know the value of what we do on a daily basis and how impactful we are. And so the goal really for me is to work twice as hard in the next, balance of the year to really be able to do that, to raise awareness of what the library does. And I'm happy to do that. And that's how in my report, I'm really happy that I have this opportunity here in Kitsap. It's a labor of love. And I'm willing to go the extra mile to do this, because every day I come to work, it's not work. It's library isn't work. It, to me, is love. And it's, one that I expect to be putting all my energies into, and making sure that people know when they see the Carol brand that it's one that's important for them and that they really respect it and value that. And I've gotten nothing but that so far. So I don't want to intimate that that's not happening. I just think that there are pockets of the community that don't know that, and I want to get out and do that. And so everybody here can help do that, including our board of trustees, and I know you're already doing it. So I appreciate you for your advocacy and your support. And that is my report. I'm going to take a sip of coffee. Any questions?
Anybody have any questions for Jason? I think I love to see how much you're out in the community, Jason, and I'm certainly hearing that too. I'm running across people who have been in rooms that you're presenting to, and I think part of it is we not that we don't know the library, it's that we think we know what the library is from our own past experiences, and it's really nice to every one of these meetings I learned myself, and certainly a shout out to our staff. Their creativity just amazes me. And I was struck as you were talking along the way that we think of teachers as being teachers, but I was really struck with how many of your librarians are truly teachers in this environment as well. So really important stuff.
Appreciate the update. Sorry. Appreciate the update, Jason, and it's really nice to hear just how engaged you are at a very deep level with everything going on. And I also wanted to give kudos to Mike for the level of detail and ensuring that everything is of high quality. I very much appreciate that. So thank you for your efforts there.
Thank you.
Wendy, I understand this is your annual report from the foundation to the board.
Yes, we have just published our 2021 impact report. So there's a digital, there's this beautiful print version that's been mailed. You should have had it in your mailbox or see it soon. And then our amazing and brilliant, this was all created by our amazing, brilliant, talented Ayanna Jones. So she also created a digital version of our annual report that's on our website. So I'm really just going to walk through the digital version that she built, which is slightly different. And then, so please take a look at the annual report that you received in the mail and let me know if you have any questions. And then I'm going to just walk through what we have out on our website, and I won't go into a lot of detail, but let me share my screen really quick. I got to do that first. Okay. Okay, so if you want to also look at the digital version yourself and kind of dive into the different pieces of the report that we've built out on the website, if you go under impact and annual report, you can navigate to it from the supportkrl.org website. Also in board docs, there's the link directly to the annual report. So there's a couple ways that you can navigate there. So I'm going to open it up and just scroll. So we have a letter. We while this is our 2021 report, we would be remiss if we did not celebrate the arrival of our new library director. So we kind of kick it off with that. And then we move into really celebrating the reopening of our buildings. After more than a year of being closed to the public, we were able to open on April 5th of 2021 and invite our public back into our building. So that was a very special and amazing day. And we've been able to really, continue to expand and serve as we've had to continue to navigate through that pandemic. So again, kudos to our staff and of course of the foundation. We're always excited to celebrate the work of our staff. We wouldn't be here without them, right? Moving on, again, we could not celebrate the opening of our new library in Silverdale. And then we go into talking about the contributions to Kitsap Regional Library in 2021 that support our system-wide library program. So One Book, One Community, we supported in 2021. To the library, our third grader to the library program that continues to just be a really amazing and important program for all of our Kitsap third graders. And then of course, summer learning, which is, as Jason shared, just growing and robust and engaging and really making a difference in our community. So our community, we saw in 2021, our community just really rally around our library. We grew, we added 458 individual donors to our donor base in 2021, which was actually doubling our donor base. I know I've talked about this. I'm sorry I sound like a broken record, but it was phenomenal, the support we saw from our community. And what you can see of our we did raise 2.6 million in 2021. And of that, 777,000 came from our community individuals and organizations. So really, really generous, significant support. And to echo Jason's story that he shared earlier, we hear and continue to hear from our community gratitude for our library staff, gratitude for the programs we provide virtually and in person, and gratitude for the resources, of course, in the library and digitally. So, I mean, our community loves and cares about our library. So it's just truly an honor to be able to be one of the staff that's going out and engaging our community and supporting our important library. So also moving on to expenses, we did give the library 1.9 million in 2021, roughly 200 of that directly to the library for programs. And let me scroll a little bit more. For programs and branch projects. And then of course, 1.7 million of that supporting the Silverdale Library. So this is just a snapshot of where that money went in 2021. So it was a good year for us in terms of just seeing our community just really rally and share their support. And on that note, what I want to do, I've got a fun little thank you here of our board, just saying thank you to all of our community and all of our staff. And we are grateful to be delivering on this promise, on our mission. So I want to close by sharing, we just can't celebrate enough the opening of our new library in Silverdale. And so we have commissioned a video that really celebrates and honors the decades of work and collaboration to bring a new library to Silverdale. It was a long time coming. It was the blood, sweat, and tears of so many in our community. And we have it's a little bit long, but a really special video to share. And so I'm going to play this. And I'm actually going to stop sharing for just a minute because I want to make sure that I'm sharing sound. So let me just do this one more time. Yep, I didn't have it checked. Good. I'm glad I checked that. Okay. Okay, I'm going to just start play and go to full screen.
Libraries are books, but libraries are people.
The libraries play a crucial role in the community in that we're safe and welcoming spaces. You don't have to make a certain amount of money. You don't have to be a particular race. You just have to be able to have an interest to learn.
I just think it's a great place to go after school and study and be able to have access to resources that we maybe wouldn't have at the school.
The fact that we've come together in partnership to renovate an existing building where the history of Central Kitsap is located, it's pretty darn cool.
Our staff and the people that have supported libraries and the donors in the community that know how important libraries are, that's what makes a community. Well, I'm Betty Coster, and I have been part of the library since about 1968-69, before the old present library, and certainly before this new library. So that puts me back a few years. At the time we got involved with the library, we had young kids, and of course they were all going to Silverdale Elementary School. And the only library in town was the old chaplain's office that came with the barrage balloons when the barrage balloons were flying over Silverdale during the Second World War. Every day from elementary school, a little classroom would come over and they would get to pick out books and go back. Basically, we helped the elementary school with children knowing how to use a library. In about 1970, 69-70, Ray Hess and Catherine Hess, bless their souls, decided we needed to have a library that was actually a library. They got a group together and we were asked to come. We met and thought, how can we do this? Thank heavens we had wonderful people in the community, and we had an architect, Don Setter. Don volunteered. He said, I'll draw you up some library plans. He drew up the plans. We got donations, but most of the building was done by volunteer help. On the day that we opened, we had 1,000 square feet. It was just a great time.
And I remember the day that we stood here, I looked out the window and we thought of this being our library. And so even though I had told the district twice no, I called them up and said, yep, we're in. And I'm really incredibly grateful. I'm Jill Jean, and I'm the newly retired director for the Kitsap Regional Library. And I am sitting right now in the children's area of this wonderful new library in a place we're calling the Reading Loft. Back when I started for the library system, the first person I met was then County Commissioner Patty Lent. And one of the first things Patty and I spoke about was the need for a new Silverdale library. Because Central Kitsap really services almost the entire county, we really knew that what we had was undersized for the community. And we knew that this community deserved a much better library situation. We set it as one of our goals to really make this happen. And although it's taken a very long time, we have realized that goal, and I'm just so happy to be sitting in the new library. The wonderful partnership that we're sharing with the Central Kitsap School District is really what is making this library happen. If we hadn't formed this partnership several years ago, we'd probably still be raising dollars for a library that was going to be located at the corner of Buckland and Blaine. And instead, we're on this wonderful community campus where we have 2,000 students right in our own backyard. And it really will serve as a wonderful spot for the entire community. I think what's so special special about this campus. It's got everything the old library did not have. First of all, it has space. It has lots of natural light. It has incredible views of Dyes Inlet. It is, and I'm laughing about this, but it has parking. We have over 100 parking places for the public, a wonderful library collection. We've got our incredible staff to really be servicing the people of the communities. It couldn't be any better than that.
Well, I'm excited to have a library here on campus because having a place to go to study and hang out with friends after school is going to be really nice, especially not having to walk down all the way into town.
We have this much larger space. The front of the building here is probably larger than our old space. After school, they have a place to gather to maybe collaborate on their projects or to study together. And they could fill up the spaces for the afternoon and do their studying before they have to go home or do their collaboration on their projects, which is great.
The libraries play a crucial role in the community in that we're safe and welcoming spaces. So my name is Jason Driver, and I'm a new library director for Kitsap Regional Library. And we are sitting here in the brand new Silverdale Library. My impressions of the space is that it's a warm space. I think when patrons walk through the door, they'll feel a sense of welcomeness, and I think there's a space that people can definitely feel invited in. Well, I'm delighted to really take part in all this library has to offer. I think that the real key is going to be the staff that's here that's going to make patrons feel welcome, moving from the old Silverdale to the new Silverdale. So I want the community to use this as their third home, and that this library is a gift by the community for the community. I want for people, particularly day one, to feel like they have gotten a present. And the present is the physical space and everything contained within it. And so it's sort of like a gift that keeps unwrapping. Traditionally, libraries have meant a place of knowledge, a place of learning, a place of wonderment. From the earliest days of the library, it's been about sharing a book with a patron on a very basic level, being able to meet their learning needs. Libraries, very much from the oldest times, haven't changed in what they provide. And so the shape and form of that may have changed a little bit, but we're available to grow as society grows. So whether that's getting information from a physical book or that's getting an information from a website, our librarians are here and have changed with the times. People have the opportunity to use library in new and exciting ways. And so I'm really excited about libraries and where they are today in our country, and that all that we have to offer in the future.
And so I hope people will be as excited and really react to this library just like we did when we first saw it, and really understand all that it signifies.
Where else can you walk through a door of an institution that doesn't charge you to come in, that will help you try to find whatever you're looking for? And all you have to do to walk out that door with that information is a free library card. What other institutions can you think of that does that? That's why I just love libraries. It serves everybody. We've always had a great library, and we've got an even better one now.
Well, is everybody tearing?
It's really fantastic. And what a wonderful way to celebrate all of those, you know, the old and the new, and the advocates who championed that project across so many years. So really beautiful.
Thank you.
That is a gem.
She is.
Any questions for Wendy?
No, but what a wonderful note to end on. That was spectacular. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Yeah, I just want to call out the incredible work of Wendy and the foundation. You know, we had our one-on-one a couple hours before the board meeting here, and really impressed at how professional Wendy and Carrie are and how much they put into this organization. You know, it's really a foundation that is coming from a larger library system with a much larger foundation. I'm really impressed at what Carrie and Wendy are able to do with, you know, really just little means. And so they pour their passion and their efforts into Kitsap Regional Library, and everything's done with a personal touch. We'll be out doing some, you know, we'll be doing some friends recognition events tomorrow. I think we're doing 2 of them, one at 10 and one at 7 at night. And so really just putting all the little minor touches into everything they do, it's really impactful for being able to raise monies, not only for staff here and the deliverables for programs, but as you can see, to deliver a bright, shiny new toy, which is Silverdale Library. So I'm really impressed at what Wendy can do. She's really impressive in her, you know, her abilities to manage this foundation. And I'm really happy to she's on our team here and not somewhere else. So thank you, Wendy, for all you do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
I want to comment on that as well, just someone who is certainly works in this field. This all looks easy, right? It all looks like this rain down from heaven and that it's magical in some way. And it's years and years of work, but moreover than that, it takes investment. And the more that we can invest in philanthropy, the more successful they will be. And the more we actually need that as part of our funding strategy for libraries. And I think what it's done so, what looks like effortlessly, and it all comes together in the end, and we put great videos together and pretty ribbons on it. We forget that it takes systems and it takes people, and it takes a lot of investment to do this well. And I think the team is working with an emerging foundation, and I and all of you, I hope, will make a commitment to continue to invest in that as well, because what they're doing today, while it's fabulous, it's not sufficient to what we actually need going forward. And it will take sheer commitment from all of us to deliver on that actually going forward. But congratulations.
Thank you.
So it looks like, Wendy, you really have are finishing our agenda. There's no correspondence to note. There's no old business to note. There's no new business to note. And so we've gotten to the housekeeping item, which is really a notation about our next regular board meeting in September on the 27th. And so with that, I will adjourn the meeting.
Good night. Thank you, everyone.
Night.